Guzampo and welcome to Bhutan e-learning. My name is Pema Khandu and this is an environmental science lesson key stage 5 for classes 11 and 12. Today we are going to learn about natural resources and degradation. Before we move deeper into today's topic, let us set a context. Over centuries, our people have revered and preserved our natural resources, and they have lived in harmony with nature. Ensuring integrity of our forest, of our rivers, and of our soil is vital for the survival of our people in the mountainous country like ours. The relationship between the Bhutanese people and the environment was forged within ecological, cultural, and traditional boundaries. The respect for these boundaries was shown in both terms, informal as well as informal norms. Just to cite an example, we have heard from our parents or from the community members that we should not be disturbing that forest, we should not be dirtying the lake, we should not be cutting down the trees. So these are actually some of the subtle experiences that we have come across which showcase our reverence to the environment. In that way, our people was able to move our nation into the 21st century with intact natural ecosystem. In terms of national policy, it was His Majesty the 4th Druk Gyalpo Jigme Wangchuk who recognized that Bhutan must follow the middle path to development. This is kind of development which recognizes the need to develop our economy, while we promote our cultural heritage, traditional values, as well as preserve our natural resources. With this, I would like to ask you a question. How do we meet the social and economic needs of our people while we still preserve our natural resources? With this, let us move with our topic. Today, we will try to cover what are different types of natural resources and how it is being exploited, what are impacts of natural resources to our livelihood and to the general mass of our community, and also see some of the causes of overexploitation of our natural resources. So these are some of the objectives that we will try to fulfill in today's lesson. What are natural resources? And what kinds of natural resources do you see in and around you? Natural resources are naturally occurring materials such as coal, wood, and water, etc., which we value as well as exploit to fulfill or satisfy our desire. The Mahatma Gandhi rightly pointed out that the earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's desire. Likewise, there is a very limited natural resources present in our country as well as in the globe. And these limited resources are being continuously exploited or used, and at a certain point of time, they will get exhausted. So what do you think leads to exhaustion of our natural resources? There are so many factors which we will see in our later slides. Natural resources are provided by the spheres of the earth such as lithosphere, hydrosphere, biosphere, and atmosphere. Natural resources can be in terms of land, water, food, minerals, and the list go on. But Natural resources can be broadly categorized into two, which are renewable and non-renewable sources of natural resources. Renewable natural resources are those resources which can be renewed in a single human lifetime. For example, forest is a renewable natural resource. It has a tendency to regenerate within a period of single human lifetime. Whereas non-renewable natural resources are those resources which cannot be regenerated or which get exhausted over a period of single human lifetime. For example, the coal or the fossil fuel will get exhausted over a period of time, and it cannot be renewed in a single human lifetime. It indeed requires millions of years to form. So, overexploitation of natural resources can cause both natural disasters such as landslides, such as erosion, and it can also lead to extinction of plants and animals with reduction, fragmentation of their pristine habitats. The causes of natural resources exploitations are many. One of the basic causes is we all need to survive, so we need to depend on natural resources such as food, water, and air. But many countries or many people also depend on natural resources to gain, to grow their economy, such as the case with many countries like Iraq, Iran. They have a huge deposits of fossil fuels, especially the crude oil, and the extractions of the fossil fuels leads to the depletion of fossil fuels, and they sell it to other countries to grow their economy. And one of the most prominent factor is the rising population. Now we are more than 7 billion people on the planet, and we need to feed every people's stomach or mouth. So in that way, we have to use natural resources. As I mentioned earlier, we depend on natural resources for food, for water, for air, and many more. And the other one being changes in the lifestyles. We have changed our lifestyle over a period of time, as you can see, as you can really look around, and you are really aware of the type of lifestyle that you lead. Most of us are living a life of a consumerist. We want more. We want to wear new clothes every now and then. We want to eat more food, different varieties of food. We want to drive a luxury car. We want to live in good buildings. So these are actually the changes in lifestyle that has taken place over a period of time. And you can just imagine the type of lifestyles that our parents have lived in the past. The examples that I just finished mentioning was some of the means and ways of impacting our natural resources. Now we are going to see how we are impacting our natural resources in 3 ways. The first one is the impact to our water resources.
Water. It's one of our most precious resources, but our water supplies are limited. 97.5% of the Earth's water is salty, and only 2.5% is fresh water. But over 2/3 of this fresh water is locked in the polar ice caps and glaciers. This leaves only 0.5% in our lakes, rivers and groundwater for agricultural, industrial and personal use. But due to pollution, the quality of this water is under threat. According to the World Health Organization, only 0.007% of the world's total water supply is safe for consumption, and this minuscule amount needs to be shared by the more than 7 billion people on the planet. And this water is not distributed evenly throughout the world. 1.2 billion people live in areas of water scarcity in places such as southwestern United States, India, Spain, North Africa, Australia, and northern China. At the same time, demand for water is intensifying. Over the last 100 years, global population has tripled and water consumption has increased sixfold. But our total water supply has remained unchanged. More people are now using a lot more of the same limited amount of water. And what has driven this exponential increase in water consumption? A growing middle class in the emerging markets has been one key contributor. As disposable incomes rise, eating habits change, and people tend to eat more meat. It takes 1,300 litres of water to produce 1 kilo of wheat, and 3,400 litres for 1 kilo of rice. But 15,500 litres of water are required to produce 1 kilo of beef. And with continued population growth and prosperity, meat consumption is expected to double by 2050. At this rate, by 2030, total demand for water will exceed the available global supply by 40%. But what can be done to address our water challenges? Innovative companies are developing solutions that can help alleviate water scarcity, enhance the quality of water, and enable the more efficient use of this precious resource. For example, agriculture accounts for 70% of total water consumption, depleting groundwater resources in some regions. By adopting technologies such as micro-drip irrigation, farmers can significantly reduce the amount of water used to grow their crops by up to 70 to 80%. Urbanization and industrialization are also putting pressure on our freshwater resources. Industrial activity accounts for about 20% of global water consumption. Everything from our clothing and electronic gadgets to electricity generation requires vast amounts of water, and in the process, industrial wastewater is discharged into waterways, polluting our water. Industrial water recycling technologies such as advanced filtration and zero-discharge closed-loop water recycling systems can help alleviate some of the strain on our water supply while limiting water pollution. At the same time, as more people in developing countries move to cities, entire water distribution networks, sanitation systems, and wastewater treatment facilities need to be installed, generating demand for pipes, engineering, and construction. While in developed countries, an aging infrastructure desperately needs upgrading. Up to 30% of water in cities in developed countries is lost to leaks. But metering systems and advanced sensors can help utilities pinpoint leaks and fix them without digging up entire city blocks. But there are other ways to increase the available freshwater supply. Some countries in water-scarce coastal regions, such as Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Spain, are turning to desalination to meet their growing demand for water. For example, Singapore plans to increase its desalination capacity to meet up to 30% of its total water needs by 2060.
Now let us see impact on land resources.
Land is the foundation of our societies. It is the engine of economic growth. We build our homes on land, we transport goods by rail and road across the land, we grow our food and produce our energy on the land. Land filters our water and brings it to our taps. Why then do we take land for granted? Why do we degrade this life-giving asset? Why do we misuse it and treat land like dirt? Every year we're losing 24 billion tons of fertile soil, 13 million hectares of forest. Sprawling cities and slums are covering some of our most fertile and productive land. Fortunately, we can wake up to a land degradation neutral world. We can create the future we want in two simple ways. We can protect what we have left and fix much of what we have destroyed. Where landscapes are underperforming, we can make them more productive. Where they're sick and tired, we can restore them to health. We have the knowledge, we have the experience. We can roll out affordable and effective practices to manage the land and its resources better. This is the way to reach the other goals on food and water security. It is how we will end poverty and deliver real climate action. Isn't it obvious that we need to take better care of our working landscapes? Let us invest and protect the land, the foundation of all life, to achieve sustainable development for all.
In the third case is impact on forest resources.
Forests cover about 30% of the planet, and the ecosystems they create play an essential role in supporting life on Earth. But deforestation is clearing Earth's forests on a massive scale, and at the current rate of destruction, the world's rainforests could completely disappear within 100 years. Why should we care about deforestation? Together, forestry and agriculture are responsible for 24% of greenhouse gas emissions, making deforestation a significant contributor to climate change. Deforestation impacts the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere in two ways. First, when trees are felled, they release the carbon they are storing into the atmosphere. Second, trees play a critical role in absorbing the greenhouse gases that fuel global warming. Fewer forests mean larger amounts of greenhouse gases entering the atmosphere, and increased speed and severity of global warming. In addition to helping regulate the Earth's climate, forests provide habitats for over 80% of the plants and animals that live on land. But deforestation destroys these habitats, diminishing biodiversity. Some estimate that 4,000 to 6,000 rainforest species go extinct each year. This also affects the more than 2 billion people who rely on forests as sources of food and shelter. The biggest driver of deforestation is agriculture. Farmers chop down trees in order to plant crops like soybeans, palm trees, and cocoa, or to make room to raise livestock for beef. Logging operations, which provide the world's wood and paper products, also cut countless trees each year. Forests are also destroyed as a result of growing urban sprawl as land is developed for dwellings. The effects of deforestation are grave, but not irreversible. Efforts such as managing forest resources, eliminating clear-cutting, and planting new trees to replace those removed are already being made to reduce deforestation's environmental impact on our planet. And while some plant and animal species are gone forever, combating deforestation can help prevent further loss of biodiversity.
Okay, now I'm going to show you a simple narration on I Live Simply movement by Ladakhi educationist Mr. Sonam Wangchuk. You will be asked to watch this movie and answer the following questions.
Hi, this is Sonam Wangchuk from a very windy Ladakhi afternoon. Let me show you this valley where I am. It's called the Phyang Valley, where we are building an alternative university for mountain development and climate change adaptation. The sad story of this valley is that in 2006 there was a devastating flash flood which took many lives and washed away many farms, fields and houses. When we asked people, when was the last time you had seen such flash floods, the answer was, we don't remember. The next flash flood was in 2010, and the next 2015, and the next 2017. The mountains are facing the wrath of nature in the face of climate change. For the last 30 years, together with my team, we have been struggling, or rather playing, in these mountains with earth, sun, ice and fire to help climate change mitigation and adaptation. With my team, I have been designing and building many institutions, all run on solar energy, using the sun for space heating, cooking, pumping, lighting and so on. Of late, we have been building ice stupa, which is a form of artificial baby glaciers that store the water from the winter in the form of large ice cones, till the springtime when farmers need water the most. But today we feel that all these innovations are just small fixes that will get us nowhere if the world goes on with business as usual with their high-tech lives and polluting lifestyles. Today, on the 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, who epitomized simple living, we want to start a global movement starting from the mountains of Ladakh to appeal to the people of the world to please live simply so that we in the mountains may simply live. But how do we reach out to the people of the world? Well, that's where we need your help. We're planning to start a major campaign, a uniquely innovative crowdfunding campaign around New Year this year, where people of the world will contribute not in money. In any case, the planet doesn't need money. It needs changes in lifestyle and behavior. So people can contribute by pledging lifestyle change, and the site will tell them how much worth in dollars or rupees they are contributing. For example, a pledge to not use single-use plastic could amount to a contribution of, say, $1,000. Similarly, other behavior changes like choosing trains instead of flights, stairs instead of elevators, bicycles instead of cars, or a pledge to go vegetarian and planting trees will be evaluated by the site, and a total global contribution will be worked out around the new year 2020, which may run into trillions of dollars. Partner organizations are expected to develop apps, games, websites, and start city clubs around the idea to make it easy and fun for everyone, especially children, to join this movement. So while the main campaign will happen around New Year, in this first phase, we're appealing for partnerships from climate scientists, environmental organizations, government bodies, schools, universities, app and game developers, passionate individuals, and influencers and celebrities. We appeal to you to please connect with us so that we can design and build an effective movement by New Year this year. Please live simply. So we can simply live. Please live simply. So we can simply live. Please live simply. So we may simply live. And as we greet and bid farewell in Ladakh, we say Jule. Jule!
What similarities does Ladakhi state of India and Bhutan face in terms of natural disasters? Now, what is your pledge in terms of changing your lifestyle to contribute for this global movement? Please discuss with your parents, friends, and teachers, and let this pledge be your New Year resolution for 2020. In my part, I pledge that I will pool vehicle with my friends to move from Thimphu to my working station whenever it is possible. I will reduce my waste, and I will monitor my waste responsibly. I will reduce my waste production and manage my waste responsibly. These are my simple pledges after having watched this narration. In summary, today we learned about natural resources, how human anthropogenic actions leads to natural resources exploitation, and what are some of the detrimental or negative consequences of natural resources exploitation. I thank you so much for attending today's lesson. I hope to see you in the next lesson.